and welcome to Let's Talk with a Flip. You're welcome, guys. Good to have
Thank you.
Yeah, good. As you all know, the topic already, it's nature versus nurture and how it impacts on individuals and the society at large. But before we go further, I would like you to introduce yourself to those who will be watching this video. We'll start with you, Mr. Joshua. Can you tell us about yourself and what you're into, please?
My name is Joshua Obano, CEO Gabano Hotel. Funny enough, I am into hospitality in most natural environment you can think of.
Right, then, beautiful. Thank you so much, and you're welcome once again. Can we hear from you now, please? A brief introduction.
Okay, hi. My name is Joseph Benjamin. I'm in the creative industry. I'm an actor. I'm a public speaker. A motivational speaker, a life coach, also an IT professional as well.
Beautiful.
Right.
That's nice. Good to know. You're both welcome. How do you now feel nature affects an individual and he then brings it into the environment, that is the nurture aspect of it, and it now affects the society? What is it that our parents, for instance, let's take an African American family, let's put that into play. I think this will make us stick to what we are talking about. An African American family now. In the family, the parents, what is it that you feel our parents have imbibed in us, either maybe something we inherited through the gene or the way they have trained us has affected the economy, the society that is nurturing in the environment? How has it affected it right now?
If I take this up now,
right.
If I use myself as a case study, I'm married to a white woman.
Yeah.
Okay, and I am nurtured in a different cultural environment, and bringing this culture with me into a white man's land, for example, this is a different society. Yeah, there are so many things so many traits that I have in me as an African that if I actually want to start exhibiting it in the natural way I was brought up, it would definitely not fit into the system I am now.
Yeah.
So there is a kind of a misfeeling in between this, whereby when I have to deal with the now society I am.
Okay. That's your present environment, not
that's my present.
What is around you, yeah.
What is around me now, it will actually contradict the values and cultural traits which I was brought up with.
Okay.
But because we need to adapt to every society we find ourselves, like they say, if you're in Rome, you need to behave like a Roman. These traits that we have, even if we have to fight against it, it's something that we sometimes need to compromise,
right,
in order not to affect the relationship or the environment that I find myself. I can't say because I am an African, for instance, that I am not living in a white society, and I am bringing all those things which my parents taught me, the traits I took from them, those learned behavior, into the new.
Can I cut you there, please?
Okay.
You just said now the traits you got from your parents, you can't bring it into the society. That's going to contradict issues. Are you trying to say you didn't learn good traits or you didn't learn good things growing up from home now? Coming into the society, if it's going to contradict things, it means maybe you've got you feel there are bad attributes or things you have.
Absolutely not.
That's
No, that's not what I mean. There are some certain things that I would possibly want to do as an African man. This is, let's say, traditionally, as an African man, we have our traditions, our values, but we need to give away these things because right now,
are they bad values? Please, you're African.
Listen,
are they bad values?
Bad values.
We really need to iron this out. Yeah,
they aren't bad values.
Okay, so why is it that you can bring it in?
Should I not say, for instance, right? Like
you're so quiet.
No, should I not say?
You need to speak up.
I want him to. He's trying to build a point, so I want him to get there, and then I would let me see where he's getting at. He's trying to build a point. That's why. That's why I'm listening, just to.
Okay. Let's listen together, because the point I'm thinking from there is actually because I'm like, okay, I'm equally African. What basically are the traits that we really need to leave behind to survive in this country we are in? That is why I am like, no, let's not go too far into that. Let's just hit it. Okay, now.
I'm an African man, for instance. Yeah. Let me take it down to something as simple as what I like to eat. Okay? And now I find myself in an environment where I can't eat pounded yam as often as I want to eat, for instance.
Okay.
Will I now say, because I am an African, I would subject my wife to continue to give me that particular meal I would like to have every time I want it? Which is absolutely impossible.
Right.
You see?
Yeah.
I was brought up with eating pounded yam, which is my favorite food. But I can tell you today, I can't consider that food as my favorite food. Why? I found myself in an environment where I would now say, all right, these values of my interests and what I was brought up with, I need to keep it aside and start to adapt to eating spaghetti or other
type of meals.
European food that would suit my present state.
Yeah, that's actually hitting the nail now, because so far I was like, what is it? What's that trait that needs to be put aside? Well, talking about it as in the sense of what you're eating as an individual, it balances it up. Okay, now I'm going to come back to you. You're just smiling and sitting. Now it's your turn now to tell us how nature and nurture actually interferes as an individual. He's talked about the food aspect, which is fine, it's understandable. Let's go a bit wilder now. Let's cover a bigger range of nature and nurture, really.
Okay, Precious, because I wanted to build up an argument here, first off, and the argument kind of like you have balanced things out, because nature and nurture here, in your own context, in the context of this interview, okay, nature and nurture here in the context of interview is totally different from nature and nurture generically, okay? Nature, okay, which is something that is inherent, okay? How nature works alongside nurture, which is something that we probably, you understand, have collected from or something that is around us, or as a people, or as aware. You get it? So it's okay. Because I wanted to build that argument, because how the nature and nurture in this context affects us as individuals, as wherever we find ourselves. For me, he spoke about food, living in a foreign land, blah blah blah, all of that stuff. We all three of us live in foreign lands, okay? And we by virtue of who we are made to adapt to the dynamics of where we find ourselves.
Okay.
By nature, by virtue of who we are, we're made to adapt to the dynamics of where we find ourselves, and like I say to say, like, regardless of where you find yourself, you can still function, you can still be you. Okay? Because I know Joshua said something about traits that he got from his parents and all of that stuff. And he was said, "No," and you were arguing like, "Were they bad traits?"
Yeah.
No, you get it. Not bad traits, but I think what he was trying to say is that how he was raised, okay, is completely is a total opposite of what he's seen. In the sense that he's having to function.
Exactly.
You get it? That's what he was trying to say. So, like I said, you can function effectively. You can function effectively wherever you find yourself. Like for me, I know the first, I've always, before I kind of like decided to settle down here, because my family's here and all of that, I decided to settle here, I've been shuttling over the years, back and forth, you get it? And it has helped me understand, have a clearer view of the world outside the borders of Nigeria. And more so, I was raised by a white man. My stepfather raised me and he was white, okay? So for me, I would say maybe I got a good head start. So that way I've kind of like been engrafted into the patterns of foreigners, the way things are done outside of the shores of Nigeria. So it was not a struggle for me, you know. But like I said, I was having a conversation with somebody, I think it was last year, and he was talking to me. He lives in the UK there. His name is Dakbo Oshiemi. He works talking drum, and he said something to me, someone I have a lot of respect for. He's in the creative industry. He said, "Joseph, you know, we're just talking about a craft and my journey into the entertainment industry here in America." And he said, "Joseph, you know, yes, you've got everything it takes, yada, yada, all of that stuff. But there's just one thing I want you to understand. Like, do not lose your authenticity. Do not lose your originality." Do you know why? Because that will cause you that will set you apart, okay? Because if you're trying to, this is to piggyback on what
fit in, yeah.
If you're trying to piggyback on what you said, Joshua, if you're trying to fit in, yes, it's possible for you to fit in, okay? But look at this scenario. Why would a casting director leave a natural African American, someone who was born and raised here? You know, why would they jump over those ones for a role that is supposed to be for an African American and then come to you? Meanwhile, you are trying to sound like the African American to fit into that role. They would rather go for the one that is a natural, okay? Yeah. But when you accept there's something in you that they want, then they can have the options of having a dialogue coach on set, you know, to train with your accent and everything and all of that stuff. But normally they'll go for that. It's a natural order. They'll go for that one. So don't lose your authenticity. Don't lose your originality. What happens is that you become the go-to guy. If they're looking for an African, your name is the first that rings a bell. Like, okay, that guy. You be the one they're constantly looking for. Okay. So for me, Joshua, for me, nature nurture for me is I was raised a certain way. I was raised by a Nigerian mother, a white man. So I've got both cultures blended together. Okay, so for me, all those traits that I pulled out from them has helped me evolve into where I am today. Okay, and understanding that, okay, nurture that which is around me and seeing that, okay, look, how do I feel? No, it's for me, it's a mental thing. It's a mental. You can comfortably fit in and you can actively perform. You can be wherever you find.
Can I ask a question? Can I ask a question, Joseph? You say you were raised by. Did you say white and an African mother?
Yeah.
Right. Where was that? In the US or in Nigeria?
Nigeria.
You were raised in Nigeria?
Yep.
All right. Now you moved to the US. And now you're in the US or somewhere. Okay. My question is, you being in the US, yeah, I understand a situation where if you say, and don't get me wrong that I've given up all my values, my African values. That can never be taken off me. It is impossible. Yeah. But what I want to know is, I think if you're married, are you married to same cultural background or you're married to maybe African American? Okay, that's my question to you.
Okay, great, Joshua. I get where you're trying to go to. Okay, fine. Yeah. This is the thing, Joshua. I have coexisted with foreigners here, predominantly, and I've maintained who I am and not allowed myself, like, even though, like, look, I understand I'm in a different society. Yes, you have to act like, you have to fit in, like you said, be your own, be like you understand, behave that way and all. I have not allowed myself get largely influenced by their systems or society. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Am I married to what's it called, to someone of a different culture or ethnicity? No. Okay, I'm not. All right. Okay. So you want to say, okay, maybe that is what is helping you if you're married to an African blood, so it's helping you, but I'm married to a white person, so you understand.
That's why you cannot. That's why I'll possibly say you cannot actually see it from my my part. You can't because if you do, you will understand the area where I really stand.
That's why you get my point. I understand you. You don't get my point. I understand you. I totally understand you, and I totally understand you. The point I was trying to make is that regardless of where, do you understand? It all depends on, two people come together, okay, to create a synergy. Okay, two people come together to create a synergy. And as they come together, they come with different values and okay, from two different ethnicities and race, or whatever it is you want to call, whatever term you use. And they come together to create an understanding. And that synergy is to have an understanding. Much as you are finding it difficult to like eat the regular things that you're used to and all of that stuff, okay? So also she on her own part is also finding it hard. She over time found it hard to like try to engraft you into her own type of style and what she's used to. So that's where synergy comes in play. I understand your struggles. Joshua, I promise you, I totally understand your struggles. Okay? Growing up with my stepdad in Nigeria, okay, there are a lot of things that I was raised with. There are a lot of things I was raised to eat and understand, which helped me. Because if he didn't at that time, if I wasn't raised by him, I probably would not even understand or have a clue of your struggle or what you're going through. I totally get you.
Let's take this beyond us. Let's take this beyond you and I.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, go. Okay.
Yeah.
Go.
All right. If I have to bring it down to the children.
Yeah.
All right. I've spoken about my personal experience and the values I have managed to keep. Now, do you think as an African man, having been brought up in a certain way, culturally, traditionally, do you think you still have that that kind of value to impact on your own kids when you live in a different society from your original state of origin?
This is a beautiful question. Okay, see, Joshua, I believe and that's why I'm grateful that we were raised in Nigeria.
Yes,
okay?
Obviously.
It has helped us. It has kept us grounded. It has helped our foundation. So it is very possible, because the thing is, because like raising children is a joint effort. Okay, because they're raised here in a foreign land. Okay, what they see here, society, system, and all of that stuff plays a large role to how the orientation is, which I totally understand. Okay, that's what you get. That's why you create a balance. We create a balance. It's okay. Do you know what? Most times you'll ever say that, look, in our time, it was not like this. Okay, and back in Nigeria, it was this is it. And sometimes to the amazement, like really, yes. And then look, I've understood, because that thing when they bother me, they say, look, you can't hear the. You can call social. I'm like, you know what? I used to tell them that back then. I'm like, you know what? Let that social service come and meet me. Let them go. See, but you, that child, I must make sure I spank first off, and then take. No, I'm coming. No, it's a joke. It's a joke.
Okay, all right.
I know. I say I'll make sure I spank it. And that joke, you see, that joke is to create a mindset in them, to make them understand that, look, there's discipline around this environment. So you do not go overboard. You understand? It's not as if I'm doing it or I'm going to do it, but it's that discipline. It's to make them understand that, look, hey, do you understand? Because you have to assert certain things. Because number one, we know as a men, we play a large role, a major role in how these children grow.
Yeah.
Right? They model their lives after us. I know that Joshua, I have a few friends here who are married to who are married to Caucasians. They're married to white women. Okay, and these guys were all raised in Nigeria, all right. And the one thing that I know that is profound in their homes and their lives is that they have not allowed themselves to lose their vim, or they've not allowed themselves to be sidelined in a sense where they are not bringing their own values to the table. Their values are embedded in the system there, okay? Their values are embedded in there. Like, they are making sure that, look, as much as I'm raising these children here, they were born here, okay, but I'm making sure that I bring my own values to the table, so that is engrafted in them, okay, so we can incorporate that into how they are raised. Okay, so it is possible, but it's not like you're enforcing it on them, but basically seeing how you live your life here, okay, helps them mirror that thing that you're trying to do. Because the thing is, like my mom always says something like, you can only take a horse to a stream, but you can't force it to drink.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. The will to drink must come from that horse. And also, if you're trying to pass a message across to a person, you'd have to mirror that message from your own life. So your life mirrors whatever it is that you're trying to do. So they use that as a model to apply to their own life. So it is possible. It is still very possible. Honestly, I promise you, it's still very possible. And more so, especially, it all depends also. Another thing is, bearing in mind, also depends on your partner, whoever the individual is. Now, this is not directed at you. This is something that is general, you understand? Because we have people and their cases are different. People and their cases are different. So it depends on your partner. Your partner willing and open to understanding that, look, we come from two different ethnicities. We come from two different cultural backgrounds and divides, okay? We're coming together, okay, to create a synergy. We're coming together to create a home, okay? So it's not as if one particular set of values will be what we'll live by. No. Then what creates that diversity? Because you look at the world around us today, all of the places where we live, okay, all of these things are riding on the backbone of diversity. A lot of these places were built on the backbone of immigrants. Okay, so it's something that they should be open to. Understand that, look, that is what creates that, because more so, if you were not open to accepting diversity, then what are we doing together in the first place? Mm-hmm. Are you trying to influence me with who you are and not accepting me for who I am also? Okay, because, and also depending on what you're bringing to is the who you are bringing, is it a good value? If it's a good value, of course, why wouldn't you accept it? Yeah.
Yeah, that's where nurture comes into play. That's the changeable values and understanding the environment. Yeah, that's fine.
I'll give you my own analysis about what you've just explained. It's easier said than done when it comes to mixed cultures. It would be much easier to impact, I'm going back to the kids now, to impact your values on your kids if the woman, because it's the women had, let me say, the upper hand when it comes to raising children in this society. It would be much easier if the woman was to be the other way around, like in my own case, all right? The values the kids naturally get will be from their mother. That's first thing taken out of the man. In as much as I want my children to learn my language, for instance, the possibility is barely, it's near not possible, except I am maybe a full-time houseman who will dedicate all my life to, all right, now I have to concentrate on my children. I want to make sure they speak my mother language and on and on. But if that is not there, what happens? They only learn that language which their mother speak to them, which happens to be the first language, before the general one. Mine is probably when I'm speaking to my people and I'm still keen on speaking my language, it might interest them then. But to say, let me teach you, that's not something that is easily done. And these are the kind of values that I am kind of giving away here now. Part of one of them, that naturally it's something I would have loved to see, that when I go home, back to where I come from, I would love my kids to integrate easily, speak, and feel free being around my family.
Right.
But that's been taken completely out. So there are so many, just to mention a few, so many to come up that we really have to give away, because we find ourselves in a society which is not ours, and the nature has warranted us to, give away this aspect of our values. So which is sometimes impacting on us one way or the other.
Yeah, beautiful. You guys actually addressed a topic I was going to raise, that is the importance of the family playing in this role of nature and nurture in a society. You've pointed out a few. I still would like to say, in this topic you've discussed now, what are the values basically under the nurturing aspects do you think you need to imbibe kind of in your child now to be able to smoothly blend into the society that they find themselves? We are all in different places now. What are the things you think the parents should do to make this work well in order to bring out a positive, nurturing attitude or upbringing that would, or the other way around, also impact in the society in general?
Joseph spoke about, the kind of threats he sometimes uses on his kids when they're stubborn and all that. It does work sometimes, and at times it doesn't really work. Personally, there would have been a lot, and I'll give myself the credit because I've done a lot for my kids as well, and I try as much as possible to be more biblical in dealing with my kids, since I can't go the iron hand way. There are so many influences. Yeah, in as much as I love to, in as much as I would have loved to, but like you said, calling social services is not what anyone wants to experience in this country, because my wife works as a social service, and I know how they deal with other families. So I wouldn't want anyone calling any one of them for me either. You can understand that the environment here is different from where we come from. In Africa, the elderly one seems to be parents to every children they see. It doesn't matter where they see them, on the street or wherever. Okay? I can see a child who's doing wrong, or an underage child smoking. I will go to the child, smack that child, or even take the child to the parents to say, how dare you allow your child to do this on the street? But you can't even confront anyone here. Reason, it is the environment you find yourself. But I was brought up that way, that, listen, this is wrong. And when things are wrong, you can confront them. But it's not happening here. So the peer group is something that you can't deal with it. I struggle to sometimes argue with my 16-year-old daughter. Some arguments which she would bring in based on the influence from her peer group, would supersede my own beliefs based on the environment they are. And these are the kind of things that...
Joshua, basically, I don't want us to go too far because we're going to have a very long conversation. Basically, what will you do to help this process now, trying to make them a better person, to fit in the society properly, and also taking a bit of your culture along the way? So what do you think can be done?
Sorry. Okay.
Josh.
Like I've always done, I try to, handle such issues more in the biblical way, to be honest.
Okay. Yeah.
I relate with them in a way and give them, I cite different examples of how I was brought up. I try to let them know that the opportunities they have here are, things they should always value, because we, grew up in a more harder society and survived those kind of environments.
Okay.
Because they seem to have everything easy going for them.
Mm.
The problem we facing, dealing with such issues becomes more difficult for us.
Okay.
Okay. So I just base it mainly on trying to hold them in a biblical way. That's the best I can do for them for now, because I can't actually, in as much as I rightly said, want to go the hard way.
Yeah.
But that's not possible with me for now.
All right then. Can we hear from you now, please? What do you think can be done, really?
Let me borrow a leaf from what you said, Joshua. Let me piggyback on one of the things you said, which is like you say you are you use biblical terms and things to try to speak to them, which I totally understand. Like the Bible says, train a child on how teach a child on how should go. When they grow, they will not depart from it. Okay. And I would say for me, that is an avenue for you. You've gotten that opportunity, and that opportunity is if you can create atmospheres where, for me, I would say, because this is something we do, create atmospheres where you're having devotions every evening, probably before we go to bed, okay? You're gathering together. This is something I'm talking from experience. You gather together and everybody, you've tasked everybody that, look, for every evening when you're coming, these are tips for everyone you're coming or through the course of the day. Make sure there's a Bible verse that you've read and you've understood. So when you come, you're going to read it out and share to us. Okay. And there are three things that we give them, three pointers. We say, what is that verse saying? Why is that verse saying what it's saying? And how do you apply that verse to your life? Okay. And then use that opportunity to talk to them and say things to them from our point of view and how we understand how we've raised, how we understood based on our relationship with God. Okay. And then we'll bring in tips and things of how our life has been. Like, this is how it is. This is how you understand. Because they're number one, because they're always looking forward to that. Okay, what are you going to talk about? All grown, okay? But the thing is, they're seeing things from a different perspective, okay? Because for me, I would say that our home is the only nurturing ground for us. We cannot nurture them outside the home.
Outside the home, yeah.
The home is the only nurturing ground for us. So whatever value we give to them there is what they will take outside, all right? So, and we know, bear in mind that the world is saying something, constantly opposite to what we understand. And they are constantly being influenced by that, Like I always say to them, I always say to my kids, I say, look, we have a lot of gates, the eye gates, the ear gates, these are gates. And whatever you see, okay, constantly, what you constantly see, you become a reflection of that thing, okay? And whoever is informing you is forming you, okay? So it's important what you're listening to, what you're giving your visual time to. Okay, so see these little things. These are little doors where we use to talk to them, you can use to talk to them. Like, it's not necessarily using the iron hand, because trust me, I threw that in the air there because it was more like, it was a joke, but it's not like that. You understand? If it's scolding, I'll scold you, speak to you, and like, look, you don't do that, okay? Like, you said something about them, like telling them that, look, see these opportunities you have here and there, these things, value them, okay? Because in our time, we didn't have things like this. And the one thing I usually say to them, I say, look, if we had people that sat us down talking to us like this, I promise you, it would have been different. But we didn't turn out bad, though. But if we had people talking to us like this, I promise you, we would have cherished it. But we really didn't have, because everyone had gotten to a point, we all got to a point in our lives where we didn't have that anymore, okay? Because, you understand, I don't want to go down my own family tree in regards to how things turned out at some point, okay? But everyone had to grow by themselves, in a sense, okay? You had to learn all of the things you learned, but the values that had been placed in us, okay, this is where nature comes to being. The values that have been placed in us from while we're growing up, you understand, the seeds that were sown, okay, nurtured us to becoming who we are today. So now we have that job, the task, okay, through our connection with you, which is nature to you, okay, we have that task to nurture you within this environment here, because this is the only nurturing ground, okay? And this is one thing I say to them. I say, look, trust me, you're going to go out there and face the real world. The real world is not fair. The real world does not care about what you think. The real world is not going to be nice to you, okay? And you get it? So it is what you have on the inside of you that will sustain you. And I say to them, I say, look, one thing you should understand is people will come with their own views and opinions on how you should live. Do not, okay? Because the very things we're saying to you here, these are the things that will form who you are. Yeah. If they were not good, we would have turned out badly. But look at us. Model your life after these things that we're saying to you. Because this is the thing that will help you down the line. Oh, Daddy was saying that. So when you're faced with the opposite of what you've been told, you say, no, this is not, this is what I've been told, and I'll stand by this. I usually say things to them like, look, if you don't belong to the cool club, it's fine. It's okay not to be popular. It's okay not to be cool. But as long as you're on the right path and that you're holding on to the values that have been inculcated into you, vis-a-vis the nurturing environment that you've had, hold on to that. Yeah. Okay? So because like I said, Joshua, you can't enforce it. But when you have the opportunities like creating those those atmospheres or those times where, look, we can do these things, especially like you understand, because based off of what you've said, it's obvious you're a spiritual person. Okay, it's obvious you have a good relationship with God. Okay, now, so it's adding that value through that. That is a window God has given to you. It's through that you're like, okay, look. And like I said, we said earlier on, we have to mirror what we want them to see. Because if we're not mirroring it, then how would you be telling them, okay, live like no, do you understand? No, this is how we should do. No. Do you understand? We have to, because if you don't mirror it, then how do you explain it to them? Our life should explain it to them. Okay, so for me, those are pointers. Those are things I feel are avenues. Even your interaction with your partner, whoever your partner is, you understand? Those times and moments should also be times where like you throw things at it. You understand? It's more like, because I promise you, they're looking, they're watching. They are watching. You might think they're not watching, they're constantly watching. So those times of interactions that you're having with your partner are things that they're taking pointers from. Okay? Because one thing, if they see that the decision making is not a teamwork, they will find loopholes. So they will come to you and they ask you for they ask you and they'll go and ask her for the same thing. So if you're both saying the same thing, they know that, okay, fine, they're united.
Yeah. Well said. That's true. They actually test us a lot, don't they?
Oh, yeah. Tell me about it.
That's fine. Fantastic. Good points shared there. I would like to pull this out from what you've all said now again. Do we agree and feel that the society is actually restricting the way we put the nurture into play in our kids or even on ourselves? Do we agree on that?
Obviously.
Absolutely, precious.
Yeah.
Precious. The truth is, it plays a huge role. A huge role. That is why we have to make a conscious effort to say, okay, fine, that we are doing this, okay? Because if we have to like just fold our arms, I promise you, they will become a product of what the society feeds them.
Of course.
Because the society around them, you understand what you're doing, what you're watching, these things. If it's through the television that they're watching, through the cell phones, like, you know, cell phone, like messages go around, you understand? You can see flash banners that are here on the cell phones and ads, and everything, information is passed across from various angles, okay? So it largely affects, okay? That's why, like I said, the home is our nurturing ground. This is where we have our own, the ability to flex our muscles, okay? But out there, we can tell society, no, don't do this to my child, don't give that kind of information to my child. Okay, if you say society, when you turn on the television, there's sport for choices. You have over 50 or 100 channels, and you're flipping through. So there's various kinds of information, you understand, that's been disseminated out there. So how are you going to stop it? Okay, that's why there's one thing I've said to them constantly. I'm like, look, do not invest all of your time in front of that thing, in front of the screen, in front of your phones, in front of computers, in front of the television. Do you know why? It dulls your brain.
Of course.
It dulls your brain. I tell them that thing dulls. Don't think it dulls your brain. Do you know why? Because what it does is that it saps out from the capacity that you have to become smart. Because right now you're depending on AI. Yes, AI is good. What's it called? I'm an information technology expert and all of that stuff. But look, AI is good, but as much as good, it has its own disadvantages. Because if you depend on these things, the phone, the information that's coming from TV, blah, blah, you will not be able to think on your own. When was the last time you picked up a raw book, a hard copy book? Read from that. It helps your brain. It flexes the muscles of your brain. Okay, it flexes them. So these are things. If society, like I said, society has been set up. It's been designed to control us. It's been designed to make us fail. Designed to make us fail. It's been designed to control us. It's been designed to make us puppets or pawns in whatever game of chess that has been played out there.
Yeah.
So you have the role, you have the power in you. You understand? That's why early on we said, thank God that we were raised in Africa. So our values, you understand, have been engrafted into us. So it has helped us. So here where we are, we know what the truth is. We know where to draw the line and say, okay, do you know what? That's why I tell them, look, they're on break right now. There's summer break. Television is up from 12 o'clock to 3 p.m. Nobody touches the television. Get off the computer, rest. If you want to go outside, take a walk. If you want to pick up a book, if you don't want to take a nap, but you know what? Get off of that thing. It's not, it's like, I say to them, I say, look, what all these things that have been done, it's for your own good. Down the line,
exactly.
You understand that, look.
Yeah.
You know what? My life is set up in the sense where we've set up our lives going, but it's for you. It's for you because when you can meet the real world, okay, how you function matters. You just say to them, I say, look at the Asian kids, the Chinese, the Indians. I say to them, I say, look, do you know why they're very smart? Because their parents sit on them. They sit on them and say, look, you'd have to be this, you'd have to that. That's why you see they turn out so smart.
Awesome. As you've actually hit my next topic again. Joseph, I wanted to point out the impact of nature and nurturing in the mental capacity, which was what you explained. So I won't go further. It's just basically, even if you were born naturally to be smart and intelligent, you still need to nurture that to improve the capacity of what you get in the environment. You've actually pointed it out. I'm not going back into it. That was so. Let's disturb Joshua right now. Let's disturb him right now. What more have you got to say in the impact of nature and nurture? Well, let's look at the aspect of our mental health today. We see so many people talking about how the mental health has depreciated, to be frank. It's even coming to Nigeria as well, because we know everyone is hiding and saying, oh, we are fine, we are the strong people, strong black and all that. But mental health is real, depression is real, all the things we face is real. So how does this relate now with nature and nurture really?
You see, naturally, yeah, everyone's got mental health issues. Naturally, we all have mental health issues.
Yeah.
I'm
sorry.
Right.
Just refer the country. Joe, I'm laughing. I'm laughing. You know, in Nigeria, we say everybody they Chris.
Exactly.
All of us they Chris.
Very true.
I know well, are they Chris? If everybody get Chris inside them, do you understand? But the level of the Chris is different.
Different. With different levels. You see, because of the advancement in this part of the world where we live in, people are they are taking it more serious, and they even treat it, consider it first in everything you want to do. That's why they ask to know your mental state. Absolutely. All right. You see, because this environment had made life so easy for the people, and I must say honestly, what they consider as mental health issues, will be some very crazy thing for us back home. Because when I see things they are treating here, and then I take my mind back to when I see some really sick people that are tied down, in psychiatric hospitals back home, and then I'm like, okay, you guys are just joking. And when I see this as a joke here, it takes me back to the society, how the mental health actually influenced their way of thinking, knowing fully that they will be treated for irrelevant things and giving them the opportunity to make life even more difficult for those who are supposed to really see things as normal. A typical example would be when someone comes from nowhere, who was naturally born a male, and come to say, I feel funny that I'm now feeling like a female. Okay? The society permits it here. It can permit it everywhere. But in the recent, this issue that they begin to build in their mind can easily be sorted, because it's a choice. It's a choice made. I'm not here to criticize the LGBT, which has become so popular over here.
I know. It's humanity.
What I can say that, if they were actually naturally born, the doctor should have told us these people are girl instead of a boy. So you can see how the nurturing has influenced their lives.
Yeah.
I have a solution for them though. Because like I used to say, any of my child will come out today to give me such a funny thing, I have a better solution. I have a village where when you go to the stream back home to fetch water without electricity and you don't see anything, you will be cured by fall. So you can see how this natural thing, it's not funny, but it's the fact how the nature has actually, how we have actually nurtured our natural thing into things that are not there because of our mental state of mind.
Beautiful.
I so submit.
Thank you so much. I think we need to put the address of that village.
Obviously.
And lots of people will want to send their kids.
I am very well. You have your natural environment.
Yeah. Beautiful. Well said. Thank you so much. Have you got anything else to chip into this now, Joseph? Bravo. Thanks so much.
My hands are up, please, for Joshua. I'm like, it's okay.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. I've enjoyed every bit of this conversation. You guys have actually nailed it. We went back and forth and brought ourselves to where we really need to go to. So thank you so much. I'm sure